My name is Claire, 34 years old, and I've spent the last 7 years building my career as a project manager at Innovate Tech, a mid-sized software firm in Seattle. It's June 15, 2025, and I'm sitting in my cramped office, staring at the email that just landed in my inbox. The subject line reads, "Promotion Announcement." My heart skips a beat. I've been busting my ass for this. I led the team that launched our flagship app, StreamSync, which hit 500,000 downloads in its first month. I worked late nights, weekends, even skipped my cousin's wedding last year to meet deadlines. My performance reviews were glowing, and my boss, Greg, had hinted at a promotion to senior project manager for months. I thought today was the day. I open the email, and my stomach drops. The promotion didn't go to me. It went to Ethan, Greg's 25-year-old nephew, fresh out of a mediocre coding bootcamp with zero management experience. The email praises his fresh perspective and family dedication, but I know the truth. This is nepotism, plain and simple. I feel a lump in my throat, my hands trembling as I scroll through the company-wide congratulations pouring in. My team, 6 brilliant developers I've mentored, sends me confused messages. "Claire, what's going on?" "We thought you'd get it," texts Mia, my lead developer. I force a smile and type back, "Let's talk later," but inside, I'm seething. I've given everything to this company. I started as a junior coordinator in 2018, fresh out of a master's program in business administration. Innovate Tech was my first real job, and I threw myself into it. Greg hired me, a scrappy 27-year-old with big dreams, and I proved myself over and over. I streamlined our project timelines, cutting delivery by 20%, and negotiated with vendors to save $150,000 annually. Last year, I pitched StreamSync to the board, spending weeks perfecting the proposal while Greg took credit during the pitch. I didn't mind then, I figured my time would come. But now, seeing Ethan's smug face in the office hallway, I realize I've been played. Ethan's been with the company for 6 months, mostly fetching coffee and asking basic questions about Scrum methodologies. He's a nice kid, sure, but he's not ready to lead. My team knows it too. During our last sprint review, he stumbled through a presentation, and I had to step in to save it. Yet here he is, sitting in the office I deserved, with a salary bump I earned. I lean back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. My mind races, anger, disappointment, and a strange clarity all at once. I think about quitting, but then what? Start over somewhere else? Drag my team through this mess? That afternoon, I call a discreet meeting with my core team, Mia, Raj, Sophie, Liam, Tara, and Jake, in the break room. They're as furious as I am. "This is bullshit," Raj mutters, crossing his arms. "We worked our asses off for you, Claire." Mia nods, her eyes narrowed. "Ethan can't even run a stand-up meeting. He'll tank the next project." I listen, letting their frustration fuel my thoughts. I've always been the calm one, the one who keeps the ship steady. My dad taught me that, growing up in a chaotic household with 3 younger siblings, I learned to think before I act. But today, I feel a shift. I'm done being the good soldier. I decide to confront Greg. I knock on his door, my heart pounding. He looks up from his laptop, all smiles. "Claire. Congrats on the team's success." Ethan's thrilled to step up. I take a deep breath. "Greg, I've been here 7 years. I led StreamSync. Why wasn't I considered?" He leans back, his smile fading. "It's a family business, Claire. Ethan needed the opportunity. You're doing great where you are." I stare at him, incredulous. "Family business? I've built this department from the ground up." He shrugs. "Life's not fair. You'll get your turn." I nod slowly, my jaw tight, and walk out. That's when I know, I'm not waiting for his version of fair. That night, I can't sleep. I pace my apartment, a one-bedroom place I've kept tidy despite my long hours. I think about my journey, moving to Seattle alone, surviving layoffs in 2020, earning my team's respect. I've poured my soul into Innovate Tech, and this is my reward? I pull out my laptop and start drafting a resignation letter, but I pause. Quitting isn't enough. I want Greg to feel the weight of his decision. I think about my team, they're loyal, skilled, and pissed off. What if we all left? What if we took our expertise elsewhere? The next morning, I meet Mia for coffee before work. She's already on board. If you go, I go, she says, stirring her latte. The others will follow. I nod, a plan forming. We could start our own company, use our skills to build something better. But it's risky. I'd need to convince the whole team, secure funding, and time it right. I spend the day observing Ethan. He's clueless, delegating tasks he doesn't understand, and my team is visibly frustrated. This could work. By the end of the week, I've outlined a strategy. I'll pitch the idea to the team, gauge their interest, and start looking for investors. I'll resign only after we're set up, leave Greg with an empty department. It's bold, but it feels right. As I close my laptop that night, I feel a mix of fear and excitement. This isn't just about revenge, it's about taking control. Little does Greg know, his nephew's promotion just lit a fuse he can't extinguish. The weekend after that promotion announcement, I couldn't shake the fire burning inside me. It wasn't just about the job anymore, it was about proving I could build something better than Greg's little empire. I spent Saturday morning at my kitchen table, a mug of black coffee in hand, sketching out a plan on a notepad. My apartment felt small, the walls closing in with every scribbled idea. I'd always been the planner, the one who turned chaos into order, but this was different. This was personal. I started with the basics. Innovate Tech relied on my team, Mia's coding genius, Raj's UI design skills, Sophie's testing expertise, Liam's backend magic, Tara's marketing savvy, and Jake's customer support finesse. Without us, StreamSync's next update would stall, and Greg's nephew Ethan wouldn't know where to begin. I grabbed my laptop and opened a spreadsheet, listing our strengths, potential clients, and the tech stack we'd need. We could launch a rival app, something leaner, faster, and customer-focused. But I needed buy-in from the team, and that meant risk. They had mortgages, kids, lives. Would they follow me into the unknown? Monday morning, I called another discreet meeting, this time in a coffee shop 2 blocks from the office. The team trickled in, their faces a mix of curiosity and exhaustion. I laid it out, Greg's nepotism, Ethan's incompetence, and my idea to start fresh. I'm quitting, I said, my voice steady. But I don't want to leave you behind. What if we built our own company? Took our skills and ran with them? The table went silent. Mia was the first to speak. I'm in. Ethan's a disaster waiting to happen. Raj nodded. Me too. I'm tired of carrying him. One by one, they agreed, Sophie with a hesitant smile, Liam with a firm nod, Tara with a gleam in her eye, and Jake with a quiet, let's do it. Relief washed over me, but the reality hit hard. We needed a plan, fast. I assigned roles, Mia would lead tech development, Raj would handle design, Sophie would oversee quality, Liam would build the infrastructure, Tara would scout clients, and Jake would manage support. I'd be the CEO, pulling the strings. We agreed to keep it secret until we were ready, no leaks to Greg or Ethan. That night, I drafted a non-disclosure agreement for the team to sign, using a template I found online. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. The next step was funding. I had savings, about $15,000 from years of frugal living, but it wouldn't cover much. I reached out to an old college friend, Derek, who'd become a venture capitalist in Portland. We met over Zoom that Wednesday. Claire, you've got a solid track record, he said, adjusting his glasses. But starting a company is a gamble. What's your pitch? I explained StreamSync's success, my team's skills, and our plan for a new app, Call Flow, a streamlined communication tool for remote teams. Derek leaned in. I like it. I can offer $50,000 seed money for 10% equity. Find a co-investor, and I'll double it. I agreed, my pulse racing. Now I needed a second investor. I thought of Sarah, a former colleague who'd left Innovate Tech to start her own marketing firm. She owed me a favor I'd covered for her during a client crisis 2 years ago. I called her Thursday evening. Sarah, I need your help, I said, laying out the plan. She laughed. Claire, you're crazy, but brilliant. I'll invest $50,000 for 10% if you let me handle marketing. Deal sealed. With $100,000, we could rent office space, buy equipment, and pay salaries for 3 months. It wasn't a fortune, but it was enough to start. Over the next 2 weeks, we worked in shadows. I met the team after hours at a rented co-working space, drafting Call Flow's blueprint. Mia coded a prototype, Raj mocked up a sleek interface, and Sophie ran initial tests. Liam set up a secure server, Tara cold-called potential clients, and Jake trained on customer service tools. We were a machine, fueled by adrenaline and a shared grudge. I kept my day job, smiling through meetings with Ethan, who fumbled every task. Greg seemed oblivious, patting his nephew's back while my team. One evening, Tara came to me with news. I pitched Call Flow to Horizon Tech, they're interested. They'd sign a $200,000 contract if we deliver by September. My jaw dropped. September was 3 months away, but it was doable. Get it in writing, I said. That night, I updated our timeline, feeling the weight of leadership. We'd need to resign by mid-July to hit the deadline. I started drafting resignation letters, timing them for maximum impact. But Greg wasn't stupid. 2 weeks later, he called me into his office. Claire, I've noticed the team's been off. Anything I should know? I kept my face neutral. Just adjusting to Ethan's leadership, I said, forcing a smile. He frowned. You are not planning something, are you? I met his gaze. Just doing my job, Greg. He nodded, but I saw the suspicion in his eyes. That night, I encrypted our Call Flow files and warned the team to stay discreet. The turning point came on July 10th. Ethan botched a client demo, costing us a $50,000 deal. The team was livid, and Greg couldn't hide his frustration. I saw my opening. That weekend, I finalized our exit strategy. We'd resign on Monday, July 14th, with 2 weeks' notice, enough to tie up loose ends but not enough for Greg to replace us. I sent the NDA signed letters to the team, along with a pep talk. We are not just leaving, I wrote. We are building something unstoppable. Monday morning, I walked into Greg's office at 9 a.m., resignation letter in hand. I'm leaving, I said, sliding the paper across his desk. Effective July 28th. His face paled. Claire, you can't, StreamSync needs you. I shook my head. Ethan can handle it. By noon, the team had submitted their letters too. Greg's office turned into a war zone, phones ringing, emails flying. Ethan looked lost, and for the first time, I felt a flicker of satisfaction. But the real shock was yet to come. That afternoon, I announced Call Flow to the team in our new office, a small space we'd rented downtown. Horizon Tech's contract was signed, and Derek and Sarah joined via Zoom to celebrate. We were official. Greg called me at 5 p.m., his voice shaking. Claire, what have you done? Half my staff is gone. I paused, then said, You made your choice, Greg. I made mine. He hung up, and I knew the fallout was just beginning. The days after submitting my resignation were a whirlwind. July 14, 2025, marked the beginning of the end at Innovate Tech. By noon, Greg's office was a chaos of ringing phones and frantic emails as the reality sank in. 6 of his best employees were walking out. I spent my last 2 weeks tying up loose ends, training Ethan as minimally as possible, and dodging Greg's increasingly desperate attempts to negotiate. "Claire, we can work this out," he said one afternoon, cornering me by the printer. "Name your price." I shook my head. "It's not about money, Greg. It's about respect." He stared at me, then walked away, muttering something I couldn't catch. I felt a weight lift, but the real challenge was just starting. Our new company, Call Flow Solutions, officially launched on July 28, my last day at Innovate Tech. We moved into our rented office, a sunny space with exposed brick walls and a view of Puget Sound. The team was buzzing with energy. Mia had the prototype ready, Raj's interface was sleek, and Sophie's tests showed 0 bugs. Liam's server was live, Tara had secured 3 more clients beyond Horizon Tech, and Jake had set up a 24/7 support line. I stood at the front, addressing the team. "This is ours now," I said, my voice steady. "Let's make it work." They clapped, and for the first time in weeks, I smiled genuinely. The first month was grueling. We worked 12-hour days, coding, pitching, and troubleshooting. Horizon Tech's $200,000 contract loomed large, with a September 15 deadline. I slept on a cot in the office some nights, fueled by coffee and determination. Derek and Sarah checked in weekly, offering advice and more funding if needed. On August 10, Tara landed a deal with a startup in Portland, $75,000 for a custom integration. We were gaining traction, but the pressure was intense. Ethan's updates from Innovate Tech trickled in via LinkedIn, Stream Sync's update was delayed, and client complaints were piling up. I felt a twinge of guilt, but it faded fast. Greg had made his bed. Greg's retaliation came on August 20. I received a legal letter claiming I'd breached a non-compete clause in my Innovate Tech contract. He was suing for $500,000, alleging I'd stolen trade secrets by taking the team. I panicked, my hands shaking as I read the document. I called James, a lawyer friend from college, who laughed when I explained. "Claire, non-competes are shaky in Washington unless you're taking proprietary code. You've got nothing to worry about, Call Flow is a new product." He agreed to represent me pro bono, and we countersued for harassment, citing Greg's nepotism as a hostile work environment. The case dragged on, but it bought us time to solidify our position. By September, Call Flow was a success. We delivered Horizon Tech's contract on time, earning rave reviews. Our app launched publicly on September 10, hitting 100,000 downloads in 48 hours. The tech press picked it up, calling it a game changer for remote work. Greg's lawsuit fizzled out, his lawyers dropped it when James threatened to expose Innovate Tech's internal mess. Ethan posted a cryptic resignation on LinkedIn, and rumors swirled that Greg was scrambling to hire replacements. I felt vindicated, but the victory was bittersweet. I'd lost faith in the company I'd once loved. The team thrived. Mia became our CTO, Raj led design, and Sophie headed quality assurance. Liam and Jake expanded our tech and support teams, while Tara's marketing doubled our client base. By December 2025, we were profitable, with $1.2 million in revenue. I moved into a bigger apartment, a 2-bedroom with a balcony overlooking the city. I adopted a rescue cat, Luna, who curled up on my lap as I planned our next project, a collaboration with a nonprofit to build free tools for small businesses. Reflecting on it all, I realized this wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my worth. Greg's nepotism had pushed me to my limit, but it also unlocked something in me: resilience, leadership, a hunger to create. I thought about my dad, who'd passed away 5 years ago from a stroke. He'd always told me, "Claire, don't let anyone dim your light." I hadn't understood then, but I do now. Quitting wasn't defeat, it was the start of something bigger. One evening in January 2026, I got an email from a former colleague, Sam. "Claire, Innovate Tech's a ghost town. Greg's stepping down, and Ethan's gone. Heard you're killing it with call flow. Proud of you. I smiled, replying with a simple, thanks, Sam. I didn't gloat, there was no need. The numbers spoke for themselves. My team had grown to 15, and we were planning expansion to California. Greg's call that night, begging for advice on salvaging his company, went unanswered. I'd moved on. Sometimes, I think about what could have been if Greg had chosen fairness. Maybe I'd still be at Innovate Tech, climbing the ladder I'd built. But that life feels distant now, like a dream I outgrew. Callflow isn't just a job, it's my legacy. The team feels like family, a bond forged in adversity. Last week, we celebrated our first anniversary with a party on the office rooftop, laughing over pizza and champagne. Mia toasted me, saying, "To Claire," who turned a slap in the face into an empire. I raised my glass, tears in my eyes, knowing I'd done more than survive, I'd thrived. If you've ever been passed over, undervalued, or betrayed, this story's for you. It's not about burning bridges, it's about building your own path. Have you faced a similar moment? What did you do? Drop your thoughts below, I'd love to hear. And if you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button for more tales of triumph over adversity. See you next time.